You're listening to the Top One English Plus podcast.
Welcome to Top One English Plus, the podcast where we explore global trends to elevate your English fluency. I'm your host, and today we're taking an advanced look at how the youngest generation is redesigning our economic and environmental future.
It's great to be here. And honestly, looking at that calendar, it's a bit wild to think we're already in February 2026.
I know, right? The mid-2020s are just flying by. But before we get too lost in all that, let's frame our mission for today's deep dive.
Okay.
For all of you tuning in, just as a reminder, this channel is really designed for advanced learners, people like you who want to master high-level English concepts, but through the lens of, sophisticated cultural analysis.
Right. We don't just learn words in a vacuum. We learn them in the context of the world they're actually describing.
Exactly. And today's a big one. We are talking about the stars of the show, Generation Alpha.
Yes, the cohort born, between 2010 and 2025. And, 2026 is such a pivotal year for them.
Why is that?
Because the oldest of them, the very first ones, are turning 16 this year.
16. Sweet 16. But it's so much more than getting a driver's license or having a party these days, isn't it?
No, not at all. I mean, in economic and sociological terms, turning 16 is this massive transition point. It's the real entry into significant economic autonomy.
So they're starting to work, starting to have their own money to spend.
Exactly. They're entering the workforce, maybe in gig-style roles, establishing independent spending power, and they're starting to exert this pressure on the market that is really unlike anything we've seen before.
Right. And this is where it gets really fascinating for me. We're not just talking about kids buying, video games or sneakers.
No, not in the traditional sense.
We're talking about a generation that some researchers are now calling digital architects.
Yeah.
And they're not just spending their own money. They're influencing family spending to the tune of trillions.
Mm-hmm.
And they're demanding these completely new business models, things that go way beyond just sustainability. They are, in effect, rewriting the rule book for how companies have to operate.
And that's really the hook, isn't it? It's not about consumption. It's about construction. They see themselves as builders of the future they want to inhabit.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
And looking at the sources we have today, everything from the attest reports to data from Boston Consulting Group and WGSN, the story that emerges is surprisingly positive.
That's what I love about this. It's a really constructive narrative. It's all about using technology for good, for finding truth, pushing for a healthier planet, and, finding some balance in a pretty chaotic world.
A lot to unpack.
A lot to unpack. So let's start with that label you mentioned, digital architects. What does that actually mean?
It's a really fascinating and important distinction. For years we've talked about millennials and Gen Z as digital natives.
Right, because they grew up with the internet. They didn't know a world without a smartphone in their hand.
Precisely. They were the first to have it fully integrated into their lives from day one. But what the new research from 2026 suggests is that, while Gen Z were masters of curating content, scrolling, liking, sharing, making playlists.
They were organizing the digital world that already existed.
Exactly. They were the curators. Gen Alpha, on the other hand, are the builders. They're the architects.
I saw a statistic in that attest report that it blew my mind. It said something like 46% of Gen Alpha teens are now using AI as their primary search engine.
Right. Not just as a search engine.
No. Not just to find answers for homework. They're using it to build things, to build apps, to create video content, even to generate code for their own projects.
That signals a fundamental shift in what we even consider to be literacy. When you use AI to create, you're not a passive consumer of information anymore. You're actively shaping your digital environment.
It's like the difference between watching a movie and actually building the movie set.
That's a perfect analogy. This generation doesn't really see a clear line between using technology and creating with it. For them, playing a game often means building the next level inside that game.
Which brings up a really interesting point about their worldview, doesn't it? If you grow up knowing you can literally change the code of a game you're playing, maybe you grow up with the inherent belief that you can change the code of the economy or the code of our environmental approach.
That's a very astute observation.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. It fosters this deep-seated sense of agency. And this connects directly to another term from the research, the upagers.
Up-agers. Okay, explain that one, because it sounds a little contradictory. They're maturing faster, but they still want to play.
It is a paradox, but it's a healthy one, I think.
Mm.
Up-agers basically refers to the fact that because they have access to, well, infinite information through the internet and AI, their social awareness and their intellectual maturity are accelerating at an incredible rate.
So they're grappling with adult-level problems when they're like 12 or 13.
They really are. They're aware of global issues like climate change, economic disparity, and geopolitical nuances much, much earlier than any generation before them.
But they don't lose that sense of fun.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the key. They retain this fierce desire for play, for creativity, for joy. They haven't lost that childlike wonder. They've just fused it with an adult-level access to information.
So what you have is this informed global citizen who also happens to be a master builder in Roblox.
In a nutshell, yes.
Huh.
And that play is exactly where their economic power really starts to manifest, which means we have to talk about the kidfluencer effect.
Oh, this is huge. I feel like every parent I know, before they book a vacation or buy a new TV, they turn to their 12-year-old for advice.
And the data absolutely supports that anecdote. Gen Alpha has this disproportionate influence on parental spending. It's massive.
And in what areas specifically?
We're seeing it across the board. Travel is a big one. Fast-moving consumer goods, or FMCG, and, of course, technology. Because they're seen as the resident experts in the household on all things digital, parents defer to their judgment.
It's like having a tiny, very honest, and very opinionated consultant living in your house. No, Dad, don't buy that phone. The camera specs are garbage.
Exactly. And the parents actually listen. But it's not just influence. They have their own money, too. The data for 2026 shows that 53% of U.S. Gen Alpha teens are receiving over $100 a month.
Wow.
But here's the key distinction. A huge portion of that isn't just an allowance from their parents. It's earned income.
Earned how? Are we talking about digital lemonade stands?
That's basically it. They're earning money through online gig-style work, through digital creation, selling assets they've designed in games, or through their own content creation.
Yeah.
This financial literacy is starting incredibly early.
They understand the value of a digital good in a way that maybe older generations just don't.
They absolutely do. And when you combine their growing spending power with that of Gen Z, the report from the Boston Consulting Group and WWD projects, they'll drive 40% of all fashion spending by 2035.
40%. That's a massive piece of the pie. It's nearly half the industry being driven by people who are currently under 30. Brands must be scrambling to figure this out.
They are. And the word that keeps coming up in all their strategy meetings is gamification.
Okay, there's a word we hear all the time in business English. Let's define gamification properly for everyone listening.
Certainly. It basically implies applying elements of game playing, things like scoring points, competing with others, following rules of play to other areas of activity. And in this context, it's about making shopping an immersive experience.
Like what Nike and Crocs are doing, setting up these huge interactive digital worlds inside platforms like Roblox.
Exactly that. For a member of Gen Alpha, their digital avatar needs to be just as stylish and well-dressed as their physical self, sometimes even more so.
So brands are using things like augmented reality, AR, to let them try on shoes digitally?
Yes, or interact with a product in a completely virtual space before they even think about buying the physical version. It bridges that gap.
So the mall of the future isn't just a building anymore, it's a server.
It's a seamless blend of both. Which brings us to a really crucial linguistic point for our listeners. We're seeing terms like immersive, interactive, and gamification become just standard business English.
They're not buzzwords anymore.
Not at all. If you're in a boardroom in 2026 discussing marketing strategy, these are operational concepts. You absolutely need to be comfortable using them and understanding what they imply.
That's a great tip. Okay, so we've established these digital architects. They're earning their own money, they're influencing their parents, and they're shopping in video games. But this is where the story pivots to something I think much more profound. They aren't just buying anything. They have standards, and they're incredibly high.
Extremely high. And this leads us directly into the second major theme of our deep dive today. The critical shift from sustainability to regeneration.
Whoa, okay, let's pause there. Because I think for a lot of people, and especially for English learners, those two words, sustainability and regeneration, they might feel like they mean the same thing. What's the real difference?
It is a vital distinction, and it's at the heart of how this generation thinks. Sustainability, in the traditional business sense that we've used for the last, 10 or 15 years, was usually about doing less harm.
Right. reducing your carbon footprint, using less water, creating less waste.
It's about maintaining the status quo without actively destroying it any further. It's trying not to make a bad situation worse.
Okay. So sustainability is don't break the planet any more than it's already broken.
That's a good way to put it. Regenerative, on the other hand, is about doing more good. It's about actively repairing and improving the systems you interact with.
So kind of like how nature works, an ecosystem doesn't just sustain itself, it grows, it enriches the soil.
Precisely. The Earthly Report defines it beautifully. It focuses on restoration over mere preservation. It's built on principles like the circular economy and biomimicry.
What does that mean in practice?
It means business models that actually revitalize the resources they use. So if your company cuts down a tree, you don't just plant one to replace it, you plant two. If you use water from a river, you filter it so it goes back into that river cleaner than when you took it out.
Wow. So if sustainability is don't make things worse, regeneration is let's actively fix things.
That is a perfect summary. And for Gen Alpha, this is intuitive. They've grown up with the knowledge that the planet is already damaged. Just sustaining that level of damage isn't an acceptable goal for them. They demand repair.
The Royal Waste Trend Report had this line that I just absolutely loved. It said, green is no longer a color, it's a KPI.
A key performance indicator.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a brilliant line. It means that a company's environmental impact is now a metric of its success, just as important as its profit margin.
And why is that?
Because Gen Alpha and younger Gen Z as well, they demand receipts.
Show me the receipts. It's such a classic phrase from this generation. It just means prove it, right?
Exactly. They have zero trust in slogans or marketing fluff. You can't just put a green leaf on your packaging and call your product eco-friendly. They want hard data. They want traceability.
They want to scan a QR code on a t-shirt and see the entire supply chain.
The whole thing, from the farm where the cotton was grown, to the factory where it was woven, to the ship that brought it over, all of it.
And if they find out you're lying or hiding something,
Then you're guilty of greenwashing, and they will cancel you in a heartbeat. The backlash is swift and unforgiving.
we'll definitely get to greenwashing in our vocabulary section later, but basically it's just faking your environmental credentials, right?
Yes, making misleading or completely unsubstantiated claims about your environmental benefits. And Gen Alpha uses technology to sniff this out almost instantly. This fierce demand for truth is what's driving the boom in circular commerce.
Right, I've seen this. I think the sources mentioned Amazon India's Second Chance store and how it's just growing like crazy.
Yeah, it is. The normalization of buying refurbished, recycled, or secondhand goods is almost complete with this generation. For them, there's no stigma attached to used items.
In fact, it's almost the opposite. It's a badge of honor.
It is. Finding something pre-loved is seen as the cool, responsible choice. It's vintage, it has a story, it's smarter.
It's circular. It keeps valuable materials in use and out of landfills.
Exactly.
Let's ground this in some real-world examples because I think that helps make it concrete. The sources mentioned Patagonia, which feels like the classic case study.
Patagonia is the gold standard here, especially with their Worn Wear program. They actively encourage their customers to repair their gear rather than just replacing it. They'll even fix it for you.
Their message is literally, don't buy new unless you absolutely have to, which is a wild thing for a company that sells new things to say.
It is, but it builds incredible brand loyalty and trust. And then you have a company like Interface. They make carpet tiles.
I know, carpet tiles sound so mundane, but what they're doing is actually revolutionary, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
In the industrial world, they're pioneers. They have worked for years to completely eliminate their carbon footprint. They view their manufacturing process as an ecosystem.
The idea is that a factory can function like a forest.
That's the goal. Factory that cleans the air and water around it rather than polluting it. That is truly regenerative thinking.
That is wild. What about the Land Institute? What did they do?
Their focus is on agriculture. They're developing perennial crops. So these are crops that come back year after year without needing to be replanted.
And that helps the soil.
Immensely. It regenerates soil health because you aren't constantly tilling the ground, tearing up the ecosystem. It creates a deep root system that prevents erosion and holds nutrients. It's fixing the damage done by industrial farming.
It's amazing how these ideas are popping up in every sector. I saw Muji mentioned in the reports as well.
Muji is a fantastic example from Japan. They've built this immense foundation of trust by stripping away all the excess. Plastic-free packaging, total transparency about their fair trade practices. It resonates perfectly with that Gen Alpha desire for honesty and receipts.
And it's not just a Western or Japanese trend. We saw examples from Vietnam in our sources, like VinFast with their electric vehicles and BD's Hunter using recycled materials in their shoes.
Yes, exactly. It shows this is a global shift in values. Whether you're making an electric car in Vietnam or a carpet tile in America, the underlying message has to be the same. We care about the planet, and we can prove it.
So the big takeaway here is if you're a business in 2026, you'd better be in the business of fixing something, not just selling something.
And you'd better be able to prove it digitally, which brings us right back to the tool that makes all of this verification and accountability possible, technology.
Right. Section 3, technology as a tool for truth. And this is where AI comes roaring back into the picture.
We mentioned AI as a creation tool earlier, but here we're looking at its role as an AI co-shopper.
I love this concept. The Capgemini insight was that consumers are moving from being optimized for search to being optimized for selection. What does that mean?
Well, think about how we used to shop online. You'd go to a search engine and type best running shoes, and you'd get, 10 million results. It was completely overwhelming.
Information overload. You get paralysis by analysis and just buy the first thing you see.
Exactly. The burden was on you to do all the work to filter through all that noise. Now, Gen Alpha uses AI to curate for them. They'll give an AI agent a prompt like, find me running shoes under $100 with high durability ratings made from fair trade materials by a company with a good environmental record.
And the AI just does the filtering and gives them a handful of options.
It gives them the best options that meet their specific criteria. So a brand doesn't just need to be findable in a search anymore. It needs to be able to pass the AI's rigorous ethical filter.
That's the concept of agentic AI, right?
Precisely. These are AI agents acting on behalf of the consumer, with the consumer's best interests at heart. These agents can scan corporate sustainability reports, check governance records, and filter out all that greenwashing in an instant.
Wow. That's a total game changer. You can't hide your bad practices if a bot can read your entire corporate history in less than a second.
It forces a radical level of transparency. And this all bleeds into what the reports are calling the phygital reality.
Phygital. Physical plus digital. It's a bit of a clunky word, but it makes sense.
It's an accurate word, I think. The lines are just completely blurring. For example, the sources talk a lot about the rise of visual search through tools like Google Lens.
Oh, I do this all the time now. I'll see a piece of furniture or an outfit I like out in the real world, snap a photo, and my phone tells me what it is and where to buy it.
And for Gen Alpha, that's not a novelty. It's the default way of searching. They don't type descriptions into a search bar. They capture images.
And they expect that same digital convenience when they walk into a physical store.
Yes, they expect smart shopping. They want to scan an item on the shelf to instantly see reviews or maybe use their phone's camera to see an AR overlay of how a chair would look in their own living room.
So the physical store is becoming just a showroom for the digital database?
In many ways, yes. But, and this is the big twist in the story, despite all of this incredible high-tech integration, despite the AR and the AI shopping agents, there's a rebellion brewing.
Ah, the cozy rebellion. This might be my favorite part of the whole analysis. It feels so human.
It's the necessary counterbalance, isn't it? We're talking about a generation that is constantly connected, always on, but the human brain simply has limits.
And the WGSN report has a great name for this emerging consumer profile. They call them the gleamers.
The gleamers. It's a beautiful term. It refers to a mindset that is actively seeking out simple joy, but not the loud, flashy, performative joy of a viral video. They're looking for what the report calls minor stones.
Minor stones, as in instead of milestones.
Exactly. Society has always pushed these huge, stressful milestones on us. Graduate from college, get married, buy a house. But those are often stressful and out of reach. Minor stones are small, personal achievements.
Like baking a perfect loaf of sourdough bread.
Or finishing a good book, or even just managing to keep a houseplant alive for a month.
I feel that. It's about celebrating the small, everyday wins.
It's a conscious strategy to resist burnout. The sources talk about the great exhaustion. People are just tired. And Gen Alpha, even though they're so young, they feel this immense pressure.
And so, paradoxically, they're turning to dumb phones.
Yes, the digital detox and analog futures trend is real. We're seeing a legitimate surge in sales of basic phones that just make calls and send texts. No apps, no infinite scroll social media feeds.
That's the paradox, isn't it? They're the AI architects that can code the future from scratch, but they want a simple, old-school Nokia brick phone in their pocket.
It's all about control. It's about intentionality. They want to use powerful technology when it serves them, like for building a game or verifying a brand's claims. But they want to be able to completely disconnect when it starts to drain them.
And they're seeking out the cozy web.
The cozy web, I love that term. It sounds like a warm digital blanket.
It does. What is it?
It refers to a desire for smaller, safer, more intimate online communities. So instead of posting on a public feed where millions of strangers can critique you, they prefer to hang out in private Discord servers or small group chats with trusted friends. It's a retreat to intimacy and psychological safety.
Which connects directly to the trend of holistic well-being.
Completely. For them, health isn't siloed. It's not just going to the gym. It's a fully integrated system where sleep, nutrition, and mental peace are all equally important and interconnected.
So what does this mean for brands? You can't just shout at these kids with loud, aggressive marketing.
Absolutely not. Euromonitor talks about the comfort zone trend. Brands have to offer reassurance and a sense of calm. Products need to provide a feeling of emotional safety.
So if you're selling a drink, it's not just about the taste. It's about, does this help me relax? Does this brand make me feel like I'm taking good care of myself?
It's less just do it and much more just be you.
That's a brilliant way to put it. Wow. So we've covered a huge amount of ground here. From digital architects building a new economy, to a powerful demand for regenerative business models, to AI truth tellers, and finally, this quiet retreat into the cozy.
It really paints a complex, but I think ultimately very hopeful, picture of the future.
I agree. Now let's pause for a moment and look at some of the sophisticated vocabulary we've used in our analysis today. Mastering these terms will really help you discuss global economics and these kinds of trends with precision.
Indeed. We've selected 5 key terms that really appeared throughout our entire discussion.
Okay, first up, the big one, regenerative.
Right. This is an adjective. And its definition is relating to a process that restores, renews, or revitalizes its own sources of energy and materials. In context, we used it to describe business models that actively improve the environment rather than just sustaining the current state. So think of that factory that cleans the water it uses. That's a regenerative practice.
Love that. Okay, next one, circular economy.
This is a noun phrase. The definition is an economic system aimed at eliminating waste and promoting the continual use of resources. And the context here is that trend of repairing, refurbishing, and recycling. When you buy a refurbished phone instead of a brand new one, you are actively participating in the circular economy. You're keeping those valuable materials in the loop.
Perfect. Term number 3, greenwashing.
This is a noun. Its definition is the practice of making misleading or unsubstantiated claims about the environmental benefits of a product, service, or technology. We discussed this when we were talking about why Gen Alpha demands receipts. They use technology to detect greenwashing, to catch those companies that are just pretending to be eco-friendly to make a sale.
A very, very useful word in today's market. Okay, number 4, phygital.
An adjective, and a bit of a strange one, the definition. The concept of using technology to bridge the digital world with the physical world, with the purpose of providing a unique interactive experience for the user. The context, of course, is Gen Alpha's shopping habits. Scanning a real shoe in a store to see how it looks on your digital avatar at home. It's that seamless blend of the physical and the digital.
And finally, our stars of the show, digital architect.
A noun phrase, and the definition is someone who doesn't just consume digital content, but actively builds, codes, or creates the structure of digital environments. And we use this, of course, to distinguish Gen Alpha from previous generations. Gen Z were the digital natives, but Gen Alpha are the architects building the next version of the digital world.
Awesome. I really hope all of you are taking notes. Those are some real power words for any kind of business discussion today.
They certainly are.
So as we come to the end of our deep dive, what's your main takeaway from all of this? What's the big picture?
You know, my main takeaway is one of genuine optimism. It is so easy to look at the world today and see only the problems. But when you look closely at Generation Alpha, you see this group of young people who are incredibly pragmatic, they're creative, and they're demanding in the best possible way. They're using technology not as a way to escape reality, but as a tool to try and fix it. They're forcing giant corporations to be honest, and they're redefining success not just as more money, but as more balance and more restoration.
It really does feel like a positive evolution, almost like the economy is being forced to become more human.
More human and definitely more accountable.
I love that. And here's a final thought for you listeners to maybe mull over as you go about your week. We talk a lot about Gen Alpha using AI to verify the truth about brands. But imagine a future where brands use AI to verify the truth about consumers.
Oh, that's interesting.
If we're moving toward a world of total transparency, does that transparency cut both ways? How would you feel if your personal sustainability score as a shopper was as public as a company's environmental report?
That is a provocative thought. The glass house might have transparent walls for absolutely everyone, not just for corporations.
Exactly. Something to think about. If you enjoyed this advanced look at the future, please make sure to subscribe to Top 1 English Plus. We are here to help you navigate the complex, high-level English of the modern world.
And please do leave a comment using one of our new vocabulary words. We genuinely love to see how you're applying them.
I'm your host, signing off. Keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone.